Hi, it's Phil here from Revive My Ride and welcome to this week's video. So my Mercedes Benz wheel sensor missing warning message is displaying on the dashboard. Okay, so as you can see here, it's saying wheel sensor missing, and actually it's even telling you which wheel it is. So on this occasion, it's showing the right rear. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how to reset the Mercedes TPMS system, because you'll be surprised how many times it resolves this wheel sensor missing problem. And so that's worth a try, but if that doesn't work for you, then I'm also going to show you what's involved in fixing the problem. So let's go ahead and jump out of the car and we'll have a look at that rear wheel. Okay, so I mentioned a minute ago that the first thing you should try is a tyre pressure monitoring system reset. But before we do that, I recommend that you check the tyre pressure, especially in the one that it's saying is dropped off the system. And that's because what I found with my car was when the system was operating correctly for this tyre, it was showing the correct 39 psi, but when I checked the pressure in the tyre, it was only 20. And so I think there's a risk it can go out of range or confuse the system if there's a disparity. And also, whenever you reset the Mercedes TPMS system, it's always worth pumping up and checking all of the tyres before you do the reset. I've got a full video all about that, so I'll link it in the description and at the end of this video. But now let's go ahead and check the pressure on this tyre. Yeah, so there's nothing too fancy about this. I've just got a foot pump with a gauge on it, and I'm just going to put it onto the tyre. Make sure this tyre is around 39 psi, which is what I know my Mercedes needs. And actually you can see that mine's a little bit low. So I'm just going to pump it up before I do the tyre pressure system reset. Oh, and by the way, if you're unsure where to find your tyre pressure ratings, usually on a Mercedes they're just inside the fuel filler cap. Or sometimes, not on this Mercedes car, but on some of them, you can find the info just on the inside of the door, just there. Okay, so now that we've verified the tyre pressure on the problem tyre back there, let's go ahead and reset the tyre pressure warning message. And like I said, sometimes they just drop off the system temporarily, or maybe there's some interference, and a reset's all it takes and you're good to go. So if you want to reset your Mercedes TPMS system, you have to do it with ignition on. So you have to press the start button twice without your foot on the brake, unless you actually want to start the engine. And then your screen will look something like this. And what I'm going to do is just press the home button. And when I do, this is what you'll see on the screen. And as you can see, it's saying trip at the moment. So now all we have to do is use this pad to swipe left or right, and I'll show you what's happening on the screen. So left swipe until you get to service. And then just push the button in the middle once. And then you'll see there's a few more options. So now this time you're going to swipe down on this little pad until you get to tyres. And of course the middle button again to accept it. And you'll come to this screen saying tyre pressures will be displayed after a few minutes of driving. Now go ahead and swipe down one more time. And then it will bring up this screen, and this is offering to let you reset the system. So it says confirm with OK, which of course is just the center button again. So I'm just going to push that once. And now it's saying it's restarted. But of course it won't display them now until after you've been driving a short while. So let's go ahead and go out for that drive, and then the system should reset and start showing the tyre pressures for each of the tyres again. So as you can see, after just a few miles of driving, all of the pressures came up for the tyres, and in fact the temperatures too. But unfortunately for me, just after a couple of days, the wheel sensor missing warning came back on. Maybe it worked for a while, and then the Mercedes Benz wheel sensor missing warning came back on again. So here's what's involved in fixing it. So the majority of tyre fitters will also replace tyre pressure sensors. And when they do, they'll often use a device like this one, where it allows you to read a tyre pressure sensor, find the code, and also program in a new one. So let's use this to have a look at the problem sensor on our car, and I'll show you how this works. And then it'll be a ride to my local garage, which is called BK Motors, and they've agreed for me to film so that I can show you what's involved in fixing the issue. Okay, so I'm just going to power this up, and then I'm just going to go for quick mode, and then I'm just going to select my car, which is a Mercedes, and then it asks for the actual model. So this particular car is a Mercedes E-Class, and then that's mine at the top, which is a W213. And what I want to do is scan a single sensor. So I'm just going to do that now. And then all I have to do now is hold this near it and then press the scan button. So there's about 3 common problems that can go wrong with these tyre pressure sensors. Now the first one is it's got damaged somehow, in which case it's not working at all. Or the battery can be completely flat, in which case it's not working at all. Or in my case, the battery's starting to get low. So hopefully you can see that all right, but just here it says voltage low. And that's why I was able to reset the system on my car, and it worked for a while, but then it stopped again. Now the good news when the voltage is low is it tells you the ID there. And that means I can program a new sensor and I can input that ID. And basically my new sensor will replace that one. All I do is I drop the new sensor in here, I program it and I input that ID. And this tool is really useful for that. But let's say that this sensor was damaged or the battery was completely flat, and so the scanner wasn't able to get all of this information. Well, there's actually another option open to you. And the first option is, once you have the tyre pressure sensor removed from the car, then often it'll have the ID code printed on it. So you can just use that ID code and program in a new sensor. But let's say you can't read the code on the sensor for some reason. Well, a lot of these devices will also have the option to plug into your OBD port. And what you can do is just read the code directly off the ECU. And then once you've got it, go ahead and program a new sensor. Alright, so it's time to get down to BK Motors, because it's great being able to program and read the sensors, but if you can't get the tyre off, then you can't put a new sensor in. So let's get down there, we'll get the tyre off, a new sensor put in and programmed, and I'll show you what's involved in the job.
So this is what the tyre pressure sensor looks like with the tyre off. Same as before, we're selecting the make and model of the car. And now here we're scanning the sensor. But it turns out that the battery has now failed on this wheel sensor. So we're going to remove the sensor so that we can read the code on the back of it, as I discussed earlier in the video. This is a metal stem sensor, so you just undo the knot on the front of it with a socket to remove it.
So that's the new one, isn't it?
The valve sits in here to be programmed.
Yeah.
So you have to have it sat in there, and you have to have it away from any other sensors, because if it isn't away from any other sensors, it can pick them up if you're doing a activation by automatic input.
Yeah.
So this is the automatic by manual input. So we have 5056.
I don't think I could read that now, you must have good eyes.
So the code for the sensor is 5056BE3C.
Just confirm it, 5056 BE3C. Yep. Press program. So you've got your ID number, pressure is none, temperature, and what frequency the sensor is.
And the new wheel sensor is a rubber stem type, so it gets pulled into place using this tool. And once that's done, now you fit the sensor body and screw it into place.
One new dust cap.
Now that we've replaced the wheel sensor, it was either low voltage or maybe it was completely dead. We can go ahead and do the reset again, and this time when we reset and then have a short drive, the problem should go away and stay away. And the system should reset for all of the tyres and be reporting back the status on them, just as you can see here. Hopefully you liked this video, and if you did, then please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more car content just like this, then please consider subscribing, and maybe I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, bye for now.